What is good, guys, man? Thank y'all for tuning back into the channel, man. If you're new, make sure you hit that sub button down below to be notified for every single video that I drop. And how you know you're notified is when you hit the subscribe button, you'll hit that bell, you'll press all, and that bell should turn white or either black. And you know what I'm saying? That's how you know you'll be notified, man. Now, if y'all watched the first part of Felicia's creepy story, this is part 2. Man, we left off on a good note. That story was getting too good. So here we go, tuning back in. Let's get it.
Okay, y'all. So this is Felicia part 2 creepy story. Sorry for keeping y'all so long. I had to go run some errands and it took longer than what I expected. Okay, so where I left off was Doug was asking. He came back to his home and he was asking Felicia about that scarf. But what I forgot to tell y'all, what happened to Doug and the deacons when they went to Felicia's house. Doug said, when him and the deacons, it was 2 deacons went with him. When they went into Felicia's house, they opened the door and they kind of jumped back because what they saw was an old lady just sitting on her couch with like her head down, like she was expecting them, like she was waiting on them. So Doug said she had this pretty blue scarf around her neck and she was just sitting there. And he was like, "Excuse me, ma'am. I think you in the wrong apartment. I don't think you're supposed to be here." He said, when he said that, he said she jerked her head up so fast and looked at them. And he said it scared him because she moved so fast. He said she jumped up and just took off running to the back of the house. And he said that, damn, somebody broke in here. And the deacon said, one of the deacons said, "I don't think that was a woman. I think that's some kind of entity because it was moving too fast to be an old woman." So Doug thought about it. He was like, "You're right, you're right." So him and the other 2 deacons, they was like, "We ready." They was up for the challenge. So they went back to the back of her house and they just looking. And they found her in Felicia's room. And so he said when they went in the room, it's like she stood in the middle of the floor waiting on him. She stood like in the middle of the room. And he was like, they start saying prayers and stuff, and he said before he knew it, this thing was running all over that room. He said, man, this entity was right running up the walls. It was running across the room like shoo shoo shoo. He said scared them. They was like, what the hell? He said, and this thing started hitting that, passed by them, so slapping them, scratching them, and they was like, oh my God. So they said, well, you know what, we got to pull out the holy water, we got to pull out the anointed oil, we got to start saying these scriptures and prayers. So that's what they did. And every time they say something, she'd come hit them in their face. She didn't want to hear nothing they had to say, but they kept going on and on, getting stronger and stronger. And he said they start opening up doors and windows, while they still saying they going to open up doors and windows. And when they open up the doors, he said he noticed this entity was getting weak. And he said they kept on saying prayers. They kept putting oil and the holy water all over the door frames and all this stuff, right? And so he said he noticed when they opened up the doors and windows, like the scarf was floating in the house, floating in the air. He said eventually it flew out the door. And he was like, he was going to get it, but he's like, it's a gust of wind came out of nowhere. He said, and this scarf just went flying out the house. And he was like, the scarf was the last thing he was worried about. He was worried about getting that entity up out of there. So he said they felt like the presence in the house like just lifted. It was like the air wasn't heavy no more. So he said they kept going around eventually, because they was in that thing for 2 hours in her house trying to fight this thing, getting up out of there. And she was getting them a whooping. So he said after 2 hours and they opened up the doors and stuff, the scarf flew out the house. And he said, the air was lighter. So they figured, once they did that, it left. So when he was telling Felicia, did y'all bring anything? That's when she thought about the scarf. And Haley's like, yeah, Ashley gave it to me, her best friend. And so Felicia said, let me call Ashley mom and talk to her. So she called Ashley mom and she was like, hey, this is, hey girl, this Felicia, Haley mom. And she was like, hey, how you doing? She's, I'm not doing too good. My mom passed away a couple of weeks ago and I'm still having a time dealing with her death. And she's like, I am so sorry. She said, but I think I had something that belongs to your mom. She's like, what you mean? She said it was like a blue silk scarf and the mom's like, and she described it. She said it had like embroidered flowers on it. And it's like a the periwinkle blue or something. She's like, yeah. She said, oh my God, that was my mom's favorite scarf. Her mom gave it to her. She's like an heirloom. She said that's the only thing she had left of her mom. She said, can you please give it back? She said, well, hold on, how did you get it? She said, well, your daughter gave it to my daughter. And so she started fussing at Ashley, like, why in the world? And she's like, well, grandma dead. What's she going to do with it? So, she, got on her about that. And so she was asking Felicia, well, can I come over and get my mom's scarf? And so Felicia's like, I'm no longer in possession of it. She's like, what do you mean? She said, when I opened up the door, she didn't want to tell her what was going on. Like, your mama came over here whooping everybody's ass and scaring us half to death. She didn't want to tell her that. So she just said, look, when I opened up the door, the scarf was so light, it just flew out my house. So now the mom's like, why are you lying? Give me my mama's scarf. And so she telling her, I don't have the scarf. So now both of them going back and forth. So she's on pressing charges because you stole my mom's scarf. She said, technically, your daughter gave it to my daughter. So we ain't steal anything. It was a gift. And she's like, just give me my mama's scarf. And she was trying to tell her, I don't have it. So now they going back and forth. And Felicia's like, you know what? I'm so sorry. If I had it, I would give it to you, but I don't have it. And she said, but me and Haley, we'll go outside in the morning and see can we find it, up the street. Or she said, but it flew out the house. And so the mom didn't believe her. She's like, oh, you stole my mom's stuff. You just want to keep my mom's stuff. And she was like, all right. So she left it alone. She hung up with it, and the woman still talking about pressing charges. And so a few days later, she get a call from Ashley's mom. She was like, oh my God. She was like, I'm not up for this today. So she answered the phone anyway. And so the mom was so happy. She said, thank you so much. Thank you so much. She was like, thank you for what? What did I do? She said, I went to visit my mom grave site, and she said, and I found because they didn't get the headstone yet, because you gotta let the grass get hard and stuff, the ground get hard. She said, but I went to go visit my mom, grave site, and I found the scarf, because they had like a little plaque with her mom's name, the little stick, whatever. She said, and it was wrapped around the little stick. And she said, thank you. And Felicia said, I didn't put nothing on your mom's grave, because for one, I don't know where your mom's buried at. And she's like, I know you didn't want to tell me because I acted a fool and you was afraid I'm going to call the police, but still, thank you. And she's telling you, I didn't have the scarf. So she was like, oh, okay, well, anyway. But I thank you. She said, now I'm going to keep it and so I can pass it on to my daughter. She said, I told Ashley she better not get nothing else away. If she happened to give Haley anything, let me know. And Felicia was like, okay, you don't got to worry about that because she ain't giving her nothing else. But so the lady was happy. Felicia hung up and she was like, girl, I don't know how in the hell that scarf ended up on her mom's gravesite, but that shit wasn't me. She said, I ain't had nothing to do with that. So that was still a mystery. She said, I don't want to think about it no more. She said, that was crazy. So yeah, so that's the end of Felicia's part 2 creepy story. So I hope you guys like it.
All I know is I would not take that scarf. Leave that scarf where it's at, put it somewhere else, burn it, do whatever you gotta do with it, but that scarf ain't coming in the house. You know what I'm saying? They talk about they don't know how the scarf got to the grave site. Nah. Somebody done some type of witchcraft or something on that scarf, and that is not your mama. That is something else that is chasing something. That's all I know. Anyways, man, that was really good. I'm not gonna lie, man. But listen, guys, y'all comment down below what y'all think, man. And I need all y'all, man, to go follow my Instagram. It's Shawn91_. The link is down below in the description. When you follow me, you can message me anything far as personal links to other videos that y'all would like me to react to. I will also be dropping other content over there too. So y'all be on the lookout for that, man. And at the end of my videos, I always say stay inspired, stay motivated, stay grinding. Until next video. I'm out of here. Peace.